Well, good evening and welcome to the meeting of the Plymouth Community School Board for February 3rd, 2015. Our first item will be the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have a special group that's going to lead us this evening in the pledge. Whenever you guys are ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good job, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Good job. Excellent. Ladies.
Thank you very much. Our next item will be to set the agenda. Any additions or corrections?
There was one addition.
There was an overnight field trip for the drum line.
Yeah. So with that addition, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Second.
I have motion and second to set the agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Our agenda is set. Item 1.3, audience. I'm sorry, Larry, I didn't know for sure, so we just barely got started. All right. Item 1.3, audience participation. Are there any agenda items that anyone would like to speak to this evening? Yes.
Item 2.10, transfers.
I'm sorry?
Item 2.10, transfers.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned that. Okay, thank you. Any others? Okay, we'll move on then to the consent agenda. Under section 2, board members can see what's included on the consent agenda, which are typical items, I believe, including the field trip that was added. Are there any items that anyone would like to pull out and consider separately? You're seeing them, or hearing them as well. Would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Item 2.10.
I just had a couple clarification questions on the transfers, Laura Cryer. The first one is, board policy has postings in which their board policy talks about when there is a vacancy, that there will be a posting that is created. We do that for, I've seen a posting for the Director of Quality Programming. I've seen it for temporary. Where does interim fall into that? Are interim positions required to be posted?
Let me just speak to the recommendation that I made to the board, is that try to get somebody who could help us make it through until we get people hired. And it was really important, I thought, that we get somebody, and we didn't want to take anyone out of the classroom and have to replace a teacher in the classroom. We didn't want to take another principal out of the building and have to replace that. But when we found somebody who was acting as in the form of a coach, we didn't have to worry about doing that. So that's the recommendation I made. We've never posted interims before. I don't know where the policy speaks to that. I don't know that it speaks directly to that.
I don't have the policy out in front of me, Laura, but it's always been my understanding is for permanent positions, but I wouldn't want to be quoted on that without reviewing it.
Well, again, we do post temporary positions that are on there, so I didn't know if the interim has a separate category, or if it falls in temporary, or if it falls in permanent positions.
Yeah. It's a question we'll need to look into. I appreciate you bringing it up, because as I sit here, I'm not sure, but that's always been my understanding on interim. But I understand where you're coming from. What is the difference between that and a temporary position? I guess I'm not an attorney. I'm looking at our attorney. He's looking comes up. But I guess I would consider temporary as a permanent position on a temporary basis. Does that make sense? Where it's a position that's not going to be continued. Maybe that's not correct. So this is just my intuition, where interim has a little bit different meaning.
I think that's a fair description. A temporary position is a position that's not designed to last permanently. It's only going to be for a set period of time. And so you hire somebody into that position, just like you would do a permanent position, knowing that will be eliminated at some point in the future. An interim is just a placeholder. It's somebody to do the work while you're trying to fill that position with either a permanent or temporary employee.
So the purpose of postings is though to get a pool of applicants for the job, people that might be interested to have knowledge of the job.
But I think, again, just going on experience, interim is in situations where we would not or could not have anticipated necessarily that those positions opening up, and we got to continue to run the school corporation and get people in the right seat, so to speak, on a daily basis.
Well, and then responsibilities is another question that I have. Some of the responsibilities of the previous position have been delegated to some of the principals. Are those responsibilities going to go back to the interim position? For instance, I believe our title responsibilities and some of the special ed responsibilities were delegated to other administrators.
Once we got interims in place, then about 95% of those delegations to other people went back to our office.
So they are moved back now at this point. Do any of those responsibilities for this interim position include, either directly or indirectly, something that might affect teacher evaluations?
Not that I can think of.
And then the benefits of this position, could you go through what the benefits, salary, insurance, and other benefits that are associated with the interim position?
Benefits, there are no additional benefits on an interim position. The benefits would be the same. And then the salary would be, I believe, 65, prorated at 65,000.
So the salary for that position does have a sliding scale depending on licensing and experience, or is it a set amount with the salary?
I took the position, I looked at somebody who was going into the interim, who was not, did not have an administrative degree. I went down to the lowest paid administrator to come up with a salary for that position, and that's what I went with, because we didn't have one. So that's how I determined it.
And the insurance benefits then include full benefits as
They
other
stay the same as a
administrators?
teacher until we
As a
hire
teacher.
somebody.
Okay. And those benefits then are the corporation part of contribution to health insurance?
They will stay the same
Will
as
stay
the
the
teacher.
same, so it's not part of their income?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? We have a motion and second on the consent agenda. Any other discussion from the board or comments? Seeing none, let's see. We have motion and second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to our business transactions. This evening, 3.1, our focus on learning is with Jefferson Elementary.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Angie Mills, who will introduce our teachers and other special guests representing our new preschool programs that we began in fall.
We have Carolina Figueroa. She is in charge of our bilingual preschool, and Cass Rodriguez is her instructional assistant. And we also have, and then we have Amy Jacobs, who is our Title I preschool teacher, and Cass Rodriguez is her instructional assistant. We've added a lot of new students this year, and we're very excited about preparing them for kindergarten. Many of our students don't have that preschool experience, and we're blessed to be able to provide that for them. And they'd like to share a little bit of what they've been learning when we've been able to be in school. All right.
Please stop by.
Are you used to working on picture?
No.
Whenever you guys are ready.
Who let the A out? Who let the B out? Who let the C out? Who let the D out? Who let the E out? Who let the F out? Who let the G out? Who let the H out? Who let the I out? Who let the J out? Who let the K out? Who let the L out? Who let the M out? Who let the N out? Who let the O out? Who let the P out? Who let the Q out? Who let the R out? Who let the S out? Who let the T out? Who let the U out? Who let the V out? Who let the W out? Who let the S out? Who let the Y out? Who let the Z out?
I'd like to say that I'm very fortunate to be part of this new experience, this new project, and I have a great group of kids and a great group of supporting parents, and it is a wonderful opportunity for them for both of them, but especially for our bilingual students who do not always have that foundation so easily as other kids. So,
Thank you very much.
Do they want to introduce themselves so people know who they are?
Can you tell them what your name is? Okay. Mario. What's your name? Mario Leo. Good. Christian. Name. Thank you. Good job.
Good job. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much. Parents, if you'd like to go, you're more than welcome.
The weather's not getting any better, so thank you all for coming out. Okay, moving on then to item 3.2 is the Lincoln report on new curriculum.
Mr. Gold is here to talk about a couple of new classes at Lincoln.
Okay, we have, for the 2015-16 school year, two new classes. They are both Project Lead the Way classes to increase our STEM focus at Lincoln Junior High. They are Introduction to Engineering Design, which is a class that will be for high school credit. It will be a 2-semester class and for 8th grade students. Then we have a Project Lead the Way class as well, Introduction to Computer Science. This is, we are going to recommend this for 7th grade students, and it will be opposite of wellness. They have wellness for a semester and introduction to computer science. Questions?
Sounds good.
You have the staff in place to
No, that job, the introduction for engineering design, that job has been posted, so hopefully that'll be one person who can do both.
do both.
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks,
that.
Reed.
Good job, Reed. Thank you very much. No, we need to vote on that.
You've heard Reed's description of the new courses. I think we need to have a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and second. Questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 3.3, marketing report.
Judy has been with us since, well, she's been with us just a little over half of a year. And, she teaches a couple of periods a day. And then uses those students to help her do the marketing, and the rest of her time she's, we've assigned her to market for the corporation. So she's just going to give us some ideas of some of the things that she's done this year.
Yes, I've been on board since the 25th of June, and what I did is put together a quick report just to show you what I've been up to. If you haven't noticed, in Fulton County and in Marshall County, we've done a billboard campaign, and we have, in all, we'll have 13 once it's said and done. It started in October, and as you can see, there we go. This is our first billboard that went up in Marshall County, and the next one is in Fulton County, and you can see the focus is on Plymouth High School, and we're one of Indiana's top 12 choices throughout the state. And moving on to the next one, STEAM we marketed, because everybody knows that we have STEM, so we wanted to show that we have STEAM from K through 12, and that's incorporating the arts. Moving on to freshman orientation, this was in Fulton County, and it's just is going down, and the next one comes up in Marshall County. So Burkhart is working to strategically put the billboards in the best place possible for people coming and going from Marshall County and Fulton County, trying to boost enrollment for us and getting people that possibly work in Plymouth that live in Fulton County, and they could think as they're driving, they see these, geesh, I could just take my kids to Plymouth schools and drop them off since I work here. Moving on. The freshman orientation is a marketing theme that we continue not only with billboards but also radio spots and newspaper ads. This here is one of the 3 30-second spots that I put together, wrote based on who we had star in our commercial, and I edited it with music and then gave it to WTCA, and they played the spots 100 times from the 1st of the year to the 14th. And if you can go ahead and play that.
Do you have it linked?
Yep, it's right in the little bar, right where the black bar is. Right in that corner. Oh, right there. Yep. It's like,
I'm Plymouth High School senior Haley Harrell. Serving as class president for the past 4 years has been an honor. I have a GPA of 4.3, fifth in my class. Plymouth has also provided me with amazing athletic opportunities as well, and because of this, I am proud to say I am Indiana's female National Wendy's High School Heisman Award recipient.
Plymouth High School invites all potential incoming freshmen and their parents to this year's freshman orientation on January 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. Come see what PHS has to offer
And discover your potential and your passion that will help shape your future, like I have at Plymouth High School.
and then we also use them on our website and to launch our YouTube channel as well. So multi-uses there. Moving on, to the same campaign. These are the first 8 bullet points. This is with the pilot news group. We advertised in the local newspapers. You may have seen the ads. And then we also advertised once in the South Bend Tribune. The same message. We wanted to keep it consistent branding, trying to boost enrollment and getting the potential 8th grade students that are choosing their high school to choose PHS. And this here is the ad that the South Bend Tribune designed, which looks very similar to the Burkhart billboard. They just wouldn't allow someone to take their image and put it on a newspaper ad, so they had to redesign it. But they shared with all of the Plymouth News Group advertising. All right, and moving on, I don't know if you ordered a pizza this Super Bowl Sunday before they closed at 7, unfortunately. But we have worked out a deal with Papa John's Pizza here in Plymouth that they're advertising for us. These are our 4 advertisements that we have going right now. Back when we started this, it was freshman orientation was our message that we were trying to get out. They printed 1,500 of those little ads right there that were designed by one of our students in the digital design class, and then teacher Faith Calling tweaked their design slightly, and then we printed them, and well, they printed them for us, the 1,500, and posted them on the boxes from the 1st through the 14th. And then this is our second ad campaign with them, and there's no money involved. It's a trade for their sign in our gym, so we're really happy about that one. And they printed 500 for the Super Bowl Sunday, but then everybody knows what happened with the weather. So if you order a pizza for this week, you're going to see one of our ads on the pizza box. Yay. All right, and then there they are again. They were designed pro bono. All right, and moving on. For those of you that know about social media, we have 11 Facebooks in all in our corporation. I am managing those, working closely with the schools, so I post corporation stuff, and then usually they have somebody at their school posting as well. And Twitter, we started the Twitter tweeting teams. Currently it's ongoing. Each school will have 5 team members per their school, and they will post 1 post a day. So it's not too much or overwhelming for the school to handle, and then I'll also be posting and resharing. Pinterest is another account. It's the 3rd icon down with the P. We have 11 boards, and we also have an athletic board, and then we also have a student study tip board, and a lot of the teachers are really keen on posting things on there. For parents, the majority of the users are female, and there are moms' ages. I mean, they're anywhere from 20 to 35. And so that's who we really want to target with their children to get them into our schools. The kids are using the Instagram account. That's the 4th icon down. And why would we want to market to kids? Well, because they have friends that go to other schools. And their school doesn't have an Instagram account. And our school does. And it's kind of cool because we've got already 250 followers on there. And we're posting videos and pictures and all different, from elementary school to the high school. So it's definitely a trend. Same with the Vine account. That's another video account. And then hopefully everybody in the room recognizes the last icon, LinkedIn. It's very important to connect with people that are following us on LinkedIn from a corporate social aspect. It's where you don't just go to look for jobs. It used to be. Now it's not. It's where you go to boast about your school, your product, your accomplishments, and your jobs. So I post currently any job that we have open that goes through Sandy, then I post it on there. And trying to beef that up. So if you are on LinkedIn, please follow us. All right. And
can I ask a question before you go on?
Yeah.
Just to make sure they understand. Do you go out and take all the pictures for the Facebook accounts and write all the stories, or where do you?
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I do a lot of them, but coming from the news business as a reporter, I know how to make sources within. So I have, and not saying they're wasting their time on the clock, but I have our security hall monitors. If they're waiting, welcoming people in for the day, and they see somebody really cute with carrying in a project, they'll take a picture. Or I've got, just an incredible amount of people already doing this for me only being on 6 months. I have a dad that constantly sends me pictures of his son that plays on the freshman football team, and I didn't even know his name for the longest. He's like, "Do you even know my name?" I do not. but thank you very much for your pictures. So I get pictures that way, and then my former students that were in the class, Haley Harrell's one of them, when she's places that she's at an event for school, she'll take pictures and shoot it to me, which is great. She was just at the MLK Volunteer Day, so she sent me a whole bunch of them, and then her pictures made it in the paper. Yay. But my students, I teach them how to do Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. And they have to establish those accounts in my classroom. We have a web zone. So normally those accounts are banned from our school to use while in school on your computers. But in my room, we have a web zone, and they have to set up their accounts in my class. So they're constantly posting, and then I'm retweeting, and we talk about hashtags and why they're so important to be there, and the handlebar, the @ sign, and why it's essential you put that there. So I'm literally making rubrics to show them and teach by example on how to do these things. So the only thing they don't do in this trimester and next trimester is the LinkedIn. They do when I have them the entire trimester. I make them create a LinkedIn account because it's important as a junior and senior to network with big companies if that's where you would like to land in the future. Okay, so this is just an example right here, and I don't know if we can make this bigger. Okay, but this is one post that we posted that went through over 2,000 people. It's 2,133 is the number in the corner there. And this is a post on Menominee Elementary School when they went ahead and pulled together all the PTO funds, and they were able to purchase some play equipment. This post got a lot of response. It had 54 likes, and it was shared 22 times. So that's pretty big, and the reason it got a lot of traffic is because of the subject. It's sensitive, it's emotional, and the reporter that was there, I tagged his station, so then they put it on their website, and it's really good dual marketing for our people and all of their viewers. So anytime we have something that plays into the news being here, it gets so much more response, and more people are finding out what we're doing. This is another one. This is when we had our first streak of bad weather, and we had 3 back-to-back days of no school. I posted this after I saw Mr. Tyree posted an email about how we would have the bus routes activated if there was school the next day. We had no school the first day. This was in the middle, sandwiched between the 3 days. And this got, look how many people, if you can see up there, 9,512 people this post reached. It was incredible. It was 186 likes, so that means 186 people took the time to grab their mouse and go to the thumbs up button and click it. It tells you how many people actually read it and clicked on it. It says 1,979 people actually clicked in there where it says see more, and they went to see their schedules. Why was this one so popular? Because it pulls at the heartstrings. Nobody wants to stand out in the cold, when it's negative 15 degrees outside, and then they want to see where are these stops that the kids can walk to the corner and get picked up if there is going to be school. We had over 80 comments. That's huge. Normally you get a comment. If you get a comment, you're lucky. 1 comment. We got 80 comments. This started to create engagement. Now, if I would have just posted this and left it, that wouldn't have been good. You want to engage with your viewers and your followers. So that's what I did, is people were asking, well, can my son walk to this stop if we live here? And so I was feverishly getting the answers, for those and then posting them. You never want to just let the social media go by itself and never respond to your fans, to your followers, because then it looks like you're negligent and you really don't care about them anyway. So that's what I'm teaching also the kids. I put together, compiled a report. It's 7 pages long of media coverage we've received so far since I've been here. And this means any solicited press releases that I put out, or just emails to the station, regardless if it was standard news or if it was sports related. Because when an email goes out and I see those, I interject and keep moving it forward, like to the truth. I had forwarded one of our athletes that was gonna make her 1,000 point. So I sent it to the truth reporter because I knew that they were gonna play, like Northridge, sorry, I'm not that sportsy, but I knew that they were gonna play them coming up, so I sent it to him, and he just, just chomped right onto it, and he actually went to the Clay game for Plymouth and Clay. It was the game before Plymouth played their team in like that area in Elkhart. So there was a very nice feature for that. So it's just opportunities that I look out for. The top two ones you don't know about yet because they haven't aired. The ABC 57 was at Plymouth High School today doing a full feature on the robotics program. They're going to be there live Thursday morning. And then we have this awesome opportunity to do the Schools Rule live shots with Channel 16 next Friday in our gym. So if anybody wants to get up at 5, you're welcome. They'll be there from 5 to 7:30 live. All right, so if you would like that report, it's available through our docs, and there's links that you can click on it. This was one of my most memorable and favorite stories that I saw so far since I've been here. It was on our security implementations, and it was just a solicited, or a non-solicited phone call. I just picked up the phone, and it was Channel 22, and they said, "Hey, are you guys doing anything to beef up your security this year?" And I said, "We sure are." So come on down. So here they came. And then I feverishly ran around and got the right people to the table, and they did a really great story. This link is available on the board docs. I would play it, but it's 2 minutes long, so I don't know if you can see it. But anyways, that was at the beginning of the school year. And it's an outstanding story. And this was one of my favorites from the Plymouth pilot. Their, I guess, how do I put it, with their staffing, I mean, the newspaper has taken a hit. They don't have as many reporters as they used to. So they're always encouraging me to write a story and hand it over to them with pictures. So this was one that they posted on the 21st of January. And it's one of my favorites. It's on the nominee and the same subject of that post that I was talking about, the playground that's ADA compliant. So it's a good article, and it's available to the board docs. All right, and so partnerships that I've been able to create since I've been on board is, if you haven't heard, Channel 22 is airing our student stories, and that means the student would bring a story idea to the table and then shoot it themselves and write it and edit it and then hand it over to Channel 22. So they're airing them every 3 weeks, our stories. So we have 3 schools in rotation every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. So mark your calendar for that. Our next opportunity is on the 16th, Monday the 16th. So we'll be having a story on, tomorrow I work with the student to shoot it on coding, the girls' coding, tomorrow at Widener at 3:15. We're going to shoot that. All right, and then the pilot news, they want to launch a full entire page section of student-produced stories. So all the pictures would be taken by our students, and all of the writing would be done by our students. And then we would look it over as professionals here, and then the pilot has agreed to also edit and change any grammatical errors or spelling errors too. And then they would print those. So that's just a little taste of what I've been doing. Yes. And if anybody has any questions, please fire them away.
How many students do you have in your classes?
I only have 10 right now. So first trimester at 17. So that was a little bit more fast-paced. Yes, and every homework assignment has those 4 components to it. So if they go cover a basketball game, they get in free, but they have to come back with the 4 pictures and a video clip, and then they have to write it. And then they're graded on that, and they have so many to complete per trimester.
Do you have a budget that you operate with as far as, or do you solicit donations, or?
I have a marketing budget, which obviously I had to dip into for the billboards and the newspaper ads for freshman orientation, but we haven't spent any money for the class, as a whole. I mean, I did when I first came on board, had to purchase like the cameras that they use, but most of the kids have smartphones. Matter of fact, all of my first trimester students had smartphones except for one. and they were able to just use their own phones to take pictures and video. But this time around, I have a lot of babies. I have freshmen and sophomores. And the majority of them do not have smartphones. So they are utilizing our digital cameras.
Keep up the good work. Very informative.
Thanks. Yeah, we're busy in there, that's for sure. Never a dull moment. We're hopping.
I've seen some of the things you talked about. I heard the one on WTCA by Haley, and I thought that was great. I think it's great to feature our students and kind of prove ourselves.
Yeah, I don't want to feature myself, so yeah, push them out in front.
Yeah.
Some of them are.
Once upon a day, maybe I'm too old, but there were limitations or rules, I guess, on especially student athletes being involved in any kind of advertising or anything of the sort. I mean, I was always warned about that, but is that not an issue, or?
I haven't had it be an issue
She's
so
worked
far.
with Mr. Ben throughout this, and I think if they had their image on a calendar or something that was being
I remember the Steve Alford issue.
that was the image of that. His picture was on a calendar that was being sold, and I think that was where we got into trouble. We didn't, somebody did.
Yeah.
We featured one of the students that founded the robotics program, and then Haley, and then another student that's involved in academics and athletics, but she wasn't sure where she wanted to go yet, and that was the message. But she knew she would be fine with Widener, yeah. And she had a whole nother year to decide, to make her decisions on where she wanted to go to school and what she wanted to study.
Maybe it's time will tell, but in terms of billboards, et cetera, how do we know what's the most effective advertising?
That's a tough question. I mean, it really honestly is. It's
Yeah.
just so many schools throughout the country. I did research, are trying billboards to try to see if it will win people over. I think it's a combination, and that's what the research had shown. If you just do one advertising aspect, you're not going to grasp everyone. That's why we tried to do the freshman orientation with radio ads, the newspaper, the billboard, having the consistent message. And then obviously our social media.
I guess I'm just wondering over time, I mean, when we get transfer students, if we ask the question.
Yeah. What we'll do at the beginning of next year is we'll take the people who are coming in brand new, and we'll ask them, how did you decide? And we'll have a newspaper, television, billboard, what did you watch here? And then we'll be able to see what's effective in this area. One of the more interesting things that's happened is we got just a screaming, really mad email from principal of Bremen High School because the ad that was in the Bremen paper for freshman orientation was about a half of a page, and right below it was a little tiny press release from Bremen for their freshman orientation. He was really upset and thought we were terrible for doing that. So it's we're making an impact. And by the way, we are picking up 3 or 4 students this semester from Bremen. So who knows? Whether that's coming from there or where's it coming from. But we're not the only ones. I've got stuff in there. I collect the things that are sent out. Argus sends out stuff. Bremen sends out stuff. It's
Well, years ago, that open enrollment, you could see this coming.
Yeah. It's not a surprise.
I'm sorry?
It's not a surprise, and we do need to keep up with the times, for sure.
One good thing about social media is it's free, and so many people are on it of all different age groups. I mean, Facebook is for, as the students tell me, their grandmas or their mom and dad, and they're not on it. Nobody had a Facebook, honestly, in the whole class first trimester. I'm like, well, everybody, guess what? You're going to be on Facebook for the class. So, yeah. But it's free. I mean, and we're also engaging in other communities. We're not just limiting it to Plymouth. We're reaching out to businesses in Bremen and in Argus and in Culver. And I even got an email back from Freeman Historical Society wanting to know why did we like them. It said, inquiring minds want to know. And I'm like, well, many of our students have to volunteer for organizations before they can graduate. And we would like our students to know about all organizations in our county instead of sending them to another county. So it would only be right to partner with Freeman non-for-profits too. So we're engaging. We're certainly creating talk.
Well, thanks very much.
Yes, good report. I thought you brought pizza.
So many other people.
Any other questions? It was enlightening, thank you. 3.4, consider resolution to void checks.
Yes, Indiana Code 5-11-10.5-2 provides that all warrants or checks drawn upon a public political subdivision that are outstanding and unpaid for a period of 2 or more years, as of the last day of December of each year, are able to be voided and put back into received back into the funds that they were first originally drawn upon. So we have a total of 7 checks that are more than 2 years old, and yes, we have sent out affidavits and have had no responses, and it totals approximately $1,198.
How much?
$1,198.74. Average of 171.
Entertain a motion on
So
resolution
moved.
2015-2. Did something change? I can remember doing this before. Do we have to do this every so often? Or
We do
just-
this every year. Yes, we've done this.
Okay.
It was 2014.
Yeah, motion is second. Any other questions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 3.5, consider amended student handbook.
Yeah, as you know, the handbooks are online now, so it really is possible for us to amend handbooks during this. And if you pass, I think I would like for you to pass this since it is an amendment. We usually don't vote on the handbook, but if you do pass this, then the principals will be sending this out to all parents tomorrow, letting them know that there's been a change in the student handbook. And this has been brought about because the students seem to think there's a hole in the student handbook that allows them to have e-cigarettes and vapor pens. We did get a clarification from Jeff that our school board policy would be enough, but the principals thought it would be important to put that in, because we've probably confiscated, I'd say 10 to 15 either e-cigarettes or vape pens since Christmas vacation. So, we got this language from the School Board Association lawyer, David Emmerich, and it'd be my recommendation that we amend the student handbooks to include this language.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Good motion and second. Discussion. I didn't know what a vape pen was, so I appreciate that. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand the context. This will fall in, or within the handbook under a section that lists items that would be grounds for suspension or expulsion.
Yes, and it would go in the same area where it talks about tobacco products.
Any other questions? We have motion second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 3.6, consider contract for fuel.
Dave Shove is here. You allowed him to go out and get bids on fuels. I think you're going to be surprised with what he's come back with.
Hi, Dave.
Good evening.
Yeah, I wanted to take just a couple minutes of your time to review the fuel quote, and what I have done so far is we established our specifications for fuel, and then we advertised our intent for the purchase. We requested the quotes in 3 formats to encourage bidding, and it was in a current daily price, a 12-month fixed price, and a price with a not-to-exceed schedule, and that gave several vendors different opportunities to present their quote to us so that we could make that comparison to try to get the lowest, best price for the corporation. And the quantities were the 5,000 gallons of 87 octane unleaded and the 45,000 gallons of ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. That would for the next 12 months. And I tried to put it in a review. So what I've done here with this table is try to summarize the quotes. Bellman Oil and Mansfield Oil did not bid for fuel this cycle. Petroleum Traders bid the current daily price only. They didn't offer a 12-month fixed or a not-to-exceed schedule in their quote. And you'll notice that the 12-month fixed price from Petroleum Traders is a little bit lower than the Petroleum Traders daily price is a little bit lower than the 12-month fixed price, but that would require the school corporation to make a commitment to buy the entire quantity in one purchase, which we don't have the storage for a 45,000 gallon fuel delivery, and we can hold 6,000 gallons of diesel only, so I felt like, trying to get the locked price and have it guaranteed for the 12-month would be to our advantage. And so they are at, North Central Co-op is at $1.64 per gallon for unleaded, and premium diesel is at $1.98 base price. You do have to add 17 cents to the diesel and 19 cents to the gas for the tax. I had everyone quote base price only, though, for the purpose of this. And moving on to this slide, Bruce, how would I get that linked from here? Okay, so you have the mouse?
If you want, you can have it. Just the center button there.
Okay.
We'll control it. Where do you want to go, Dave?
Just go to the end of the chart, or to the end of the bar. You can hover over the line. And so what I did with the fuel, because I got one for the 12-month fixed price, and that was for diesel fuel, that was at $2.15 a gallon with tax. And this is the average retail price of $3.82 in 2014 is what we saw for diesel fuel. Back 6 months ago when I was buying diesel fuel, we were buying at $3.38 when I first started in transportation. If you would, Bruce, just maybe go over the line a little bit, move back. In 2012, you can see there we're at $3.968 a gallon for diesel. Takes a dip down in 2009 to $2.47 a gallon. So I felt pretty comfortable with the North Central Co-op price of $2.15 a gallon on our diesel. That would account for about 53% of our fuel budget for the next year. And so at this time, I would like to recommend, or if you have any questions, that you would consider to approve the fuel quote from North Central Co-op.
Could you go back to the summary again?
This one.
So the current daily price, how long is the contract?
It is 12 months. And that fluctuates greatly when you look at that's a one-day snapshot of what fuel is on that day. And it is very, 25, 30 cents. I mean, throughout the day, sometimes it moves quite a bit, and we just can't capture opportunities in the market with a 6,000-gallon tank and having a 45,000-gallon demand for fuel. So I was trying to stabilize that price and have a known value. The diesel is our overwhelming consumer. I mean, we only use about 5,000 gallons of unleaded fuel a year. So
the 6,000 is total? That's whether it's unleaded or diesel, that's what we can store?
6,000 in diesel, 4,000 in unleaded. I'm sorry.
Dave, is there a reason you do the premium diesel versus the off-road diesel?
Yes, an ultra low sulfur, and then they have a higher cetane rating, which basically it also has the additives for the anti-gel, which will keep the buses running, out on the roads when it's -15, -20. So we don't have to deal with the additives on that side of it. And then, so I spec'd it out a premium diesel for that reason with cold weather considerations and things like that.
Thank you.
So a silly question. We can't go out and fill up our tanks at the current daily price and then lock in fixed price for 10,000 gallons less.
I'm sorry, could you?
Yeah, I know, I didn't say that very well. The unleaded, we're contracting for 6,000 gallons at this price?
We were contracting for 5,000 gallons, yeah.
And we can store 4, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be, that's the maximum we could store is 4. But I wouldn't be able to take that all in one drop. You have to leave room for expansion in the tank when you fill it, so I'd have to probably take, get it down to about a quarter and maybe put 70% in or so. Yeah, we just don't go through a lot of unleaded fuel. It sits quite a while. We have flexibility to take that on as needed, and I've actually been learning a lot on fuel from short time in transportation.
David, if we accept this bid, what are we going to pay for fuel this year compared to what we paid last year? So in 2015, what are we going to pay?
We were averaging, for diesel fuel, $3.60.
No, total amount.
Total amount, $200,000, I believe, Candy, is what we spent on fuel last year. We're going to be spending $105,000 this year. So
I think we should go ahead and lock it in for 12 months. I think that's just the way to go, smartest thing to do.
So one chart was very helpful on what the history has been. Can you put up the chart on what the future price is going to be?
if I knew that, I guess
You're recommending the co-op?
I was making a recommendation for the North Central Co-op 12-month fixed price contract to approve that.
I would so move.
Second.
Had a motion in a couple seconds. Any other questions or comments?
Good job, Dave.
And Jeff Lee did look over the contract.
I'm sorry?
Jeff Lee did look over the contract.
That was going to be...
I have reviewed the contract, it looks pretty standard, it's a good contract.
It's quite a savings. Yeah, 100,000 is a big number. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Dave. Thanks. Get some rest.
You may be excused.
Thank you.
I think we still need to vote, right? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 3.7, permission to hire.
I have nothing for this one.
Thank you. Item 3.8, consider calendar and transfer deadlines for 2015-2016 school year.
So in front of you, you have the balanced calendar. We've been talking about this 365 days now. This calendar is very close to what the co-op sent out to all the schools. and the superintendents have been emailing back and forth. I believe all the schools except for Union North and Argus are going to adopt the balanced calendar at the February meeting. And all the schools are going to adopt a calendar that's very similar to this. Everybody is going to, right now we're starting the school on the, we have a teacher day on August 4th, and the first day is on August 5th. Some schools are starting a day before we are. Our teachers chose to go a day later. We have a professional development day on the 4th of September, which we haven't decided exactly how we're doing that, and so we'll come back and report to you later on about that. Fall break will be October 19th through the 23rd. Teachers wanted to take one day off before Thanksgiving, so they would be off 25th, 26th, and 27th for Thanksgiving break. There would be a 2-week holiday break at Christmas time. Since the state's given us permission to make up days virtually now, we're planning on making up days in the future virtually. We're one-to-one. There's really no sense in having make-up days, so next year we plan on having Martin Luther King Day off and President's Day off. That's a long haul through there, and that would give teachers 2 days off if we have a good winter. Spring break would be 2 weeks. It would be the last week of March and the first week of April. And our cooperative has always had a problem because the schools that feed Kosciuszko County and St. Joe County like to have the first week of April off, and the rest of us like to have the last week of March off. So now both sides get their wish. And this still means that our last student day is the 27th of May. And we would come back, and our last teacher day would be the 31st of May. So we would be out before June. This is the balanced calendar. Like I said, there's only 2 days difference in what the vocational cooperative sent out, and so I present that to you to adopt this evening. And people are waiting to schedule their vacations. We get calls every day.
Dan, when you said that Argus and another school in the area were the only ones that weren't planning on adopting it at this month, do they plan on looking at it before next school year? Or do you think those 2 schools will not go towards it?
Argus will probably eventually do it, if not this year, next year. I have no idea what Union North is thinking. They just have been, just haven't been involved in the discussion basically from the beginning. But we're only talking in those 2 schools, we're only talking maybe a handful of kids that are in vocational programs anyway. So.
But realistically, this is the format that for the past year has been discussed with parents and teachers, and I know we kept getting feedback that it's been very well accepted and so forth. But how much actual downtime have we picked up in the summer with this balanced calendar? In other words, is it 8 weeks compared to 10 weeks? Or?
The summer will be about a week and a half shorter than what it was in the past.
And that was one of the positives of less downtime for kids being away.
Less downtime in the summer and shorter vacations during the year.
I'll put it on the table. So moved.
Second. Motion and second. We've had discussion, but I'll call for discussion again. Not to put you on the spot, Laura, but what do the teachers think of this?
I think they're pleased with the balanced calendar. They're just waiting for the hours of the day and how that fits in.
Why was I under, I'm sure it was just me, but I thought there was 2 weeks in the fall, 2 weeks in the winter, 2 weeks in the spring. There's one.
Yeah, I suppose I should really call this a modified balanced calendar. Because of testing in Indiana, it's difficult to get that 2 weeks in the fall because the PSAT is offered the week before we're in vacation there. And schools that have taken that off have struggled with kids not being able to take the PSAT or having to stay home. And so our schools decided that we would prefer them just to take a 1 week vacation and make sure our kids all took the PSAT, because that's such a significant part of dual credit now that really just wiped out the ability to take 2 weeks. At one point, we had looked at taking the PSATs on Wednesday, and we looked at taking Friday and Saturday off and having a 7-day. When the teacher committee looked at it, they said they'd rather just have a 1 week and start school a day later and have a day before Thanksgiving. So that's why that changed.
It'll still be done before June.
It'll still be done before June.
Any other questions or comments? Have motion and second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 3.9, new and revised policies and guidelines, first reading.
Yes, you'll see this is the first reading, so as you go through, if you have any questions on those, feel free to let us know in each of those.
I haven't had a chance to review.
Yeah, there's a handful there, so yeah. But as you do, again, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
So these will be up for consideration in our March meeting?
Before you go on,
I'm sorry?
item 3.8, we also need to approve the
Oh.
transfer student deadline. We have to have that to say to the state.
I'm sorry.
This hasn't changed. This is what we passed the last 2 years. This sets our top limit, 325. As I looked at we have one grade level right now that does 326, and that's because somebody moved in after we had already gotten to 325. So we only have one grade level that's exceeded that. After that, I think the next one is like 311. So we're still quite a ways away in most of the classes from that. And it just says that we can accept transfers basically throughout the year. We have to set a beginning and ending date.
So we need a motion to approve that recommendation for transfer students.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, discussion. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Sandra, for keeping us on track. So the policies, please, if you have a chance, read through those. Any questions, give it to Andy or Dan, or make those questions known. We'll take that up for action in March. 3.1, legislative update. You want to start, Dan?
Well, we spent some time with Senator Mishler and Representative Harmon on Friday, and the big talk as far as the budget goes is, are we going to get the governor's budget? Are we going to get the DOE's budget? Are we going to get the Senator Mishler assured us that we would be getting the Senate's budget, and they weren't tied to either one of those groups. They didn't think what the governor was proposing was enough, but there's also a lot of talk about the complexity index and that it's not fair to schools like Carmel and Westfield, Washington, and Munster, and schools that basically don't have much of a complex or difficult student body to educate, since that's based on free and reduced books. So Senator Mishler said that you'd probably have to keep some of the complexity index, but they would also like to put something in for performance. So there would be something in the formula for performance. So those schools that I just mentioned would get some money because they're good schools. He also said that he would like to take us to the foundation level right away, which for us is about a $300 student drop per student. So I don't know that they'll get their way on getting the foundation by next year or not, but we have to be aware of that, and we have to continue to talk to people who are voting, not just Senator Mishler, but some of the other senators in the area. Senator Head and Senator Charbonneau are two people that listen to us when we talk as well.
Does that mean what do you mean by foundation?
Well, there's a foundation level that all schools get, basically. That is it's around 4,200. That's what every student's going to get before they start adding in for performance or complexity.
What are we to make of, I think there's a House bill and a Senate bill to remove the state superintendent from the board?
I think that's their way of trying to fool the voters that we haven't gotten rid of the state superintendent of school and still strip her of all her powers. I think they're afraid of just having an appointed state superintendent because she was able to replace somebody that they thought was a very powerful state superintendent of school. And I think they're all afraid of doing that. And so I think what they've come up with now is a way to, well, we're going to let her continue to be the state superintendent of schools, but we're going to strip of her powers because she's no longer on the chair of the state board. Smoke and mirrors. Is that what you see, Lauren?
I do. You know, one of the arguments that they give for doing that and proposing that bill is that other states, actually their Board of Education elects who is going to be their chairperson. What they neglect to tell you is that in most other states, the state board is elected. It's not appointed by the governor. And we plan on, Bob McKell and I plan on going lobbying either the 24th of February, the March 3rd, as well as a possible date to bring up some of those issues, as well as the funding issue with our representatives, and would invite any of the school board members to join us if you have a free day. We're open to either one, February 24th or March 3rd.
And that's exactly what I said to Senator Mishler, is I don't care if you do that as long as we get to elect the state board. He didn't like that answer.
I think they even put a clause in there that if this goes in place, would actually end 2016, which happens to coincide with the ending date of Glenda Ritz's term. So it is a blatant move to strip her of her powers.
There are a couple of bills, from the finance perspective that deal with tax increment. I don't know if you've been following those, but there's a couple that I'll actually be down tomorrow to hopefully better understand what is being proposed. I think, I can't remember the bill numbers, I apologize, but one of those would have a carve out of the rates that schools have associated with transportation, and I believe bus replacement that could not be captured in a TIF. I think that's been amended to talk about actual dollars instead of rate. And there's another one that deals with, it's related, it's unrelated, or not related directly to schools, but we are impacted by any of these changes because it would impact tax base and circuit breakers and all those types of things. So hopefully there's a level of understanding that I'm not expecting, but I'm hoping that is there on how all these things relate. So hopefully we'll know more after tomorrow. Any questions or anything else? Superintendent remarks, section 4. Dan.
A commitment to students. Dave Schoaf and his crew started plowing Sunday morning. And with the exception of a few short hours for sleep breaks, plowed until this morning at 7 a.m. to make sure that we could be in school today on Tuesday. So if you looked a little tired, Mike, that's why. 4.2, caring. Our Title I teachers have been putting in a lot of time as they're responsible for the ESL new language testing. In addition, they had to go to school and be certified to administer that test. 4.3, high expectations. Wendy Haynes and our deputy treasurer and payroll specialist has just passed her certification for human resource specialist from IASBO. So to give a chance, say congratulations to Wendy. She's been working on that certification for a couple of years. 4.4, team player. We had a professional development day last Friday, and it seemed to be a huge success. Even with Dan and Michelle leaving us, we were able to pick up pieces and pull off the day without a hitch. 4.5, integrity. Our original general fund budget was cut by nearly $80,000. Mrs. Tinky argued her point with the DLG rep and won. We will not be cut in the general fund. And then 4.6, enjoyment. Lincoln Junior High's broadcasting department will be presented with an award this spring at the International Broadcast Association Awards. They're one of only a few junior high broadcasting departments in the United States to be honored. Our next board meeting is March the 3rd, 2015 at 7 o'clock p.m. And then after spring break, I'll be polling you for some dates that for us to put a work session together for our facilities plan. Give you a little time to chew on that and start looking at some time to get together and talk about it.
Great. Any comments or questions?
Good job, Candy. Thanks for saving $80,000.
At least I get to.
Well, I mean, let's think about what we heard here this evening. We got people doing their jobs. I mean, we heard about football players. Hey, just do your job. I mean, that's a game, right? But Andy and Dave, what did we just come up with? $180,000 that people doing their jobs. So thank you very much. And here's a letter from this Betty Casterison, which is the head of IASBO on Wendy. Let me just add to that a little bit. 71 hours of instruction in order for her to get that certification. That's perhaps going above and beyond doing your job too. So thank you all. Audience participation. We've come full circle. If you and we've generated any questions or additional comments? If not, I think we're in a moment to accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
That motion is second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.